Hey everybody, this is Sean V. Bradley, president of Dealer Synergy and the creator of our super awesome Millionaire Car Salesman group. All right, so I just went live before and I was going through and just trying to respond to people. And I was looking at this post right here, guys. So right there. So Lauren had put 9 hours ago, how many calls should a BDC make per month if you received 800 to 1,000 leads per month? And oh my gosh, like some of the shit in here is just crazy. I mean, this is what happens when we have almost 13,000 members. Like, I can't moderate everything, so we kind of moderate the post, but the comments are hard unless somebody flags it. And I think that people are trying to help. Don't get me wrong, but here's my thing, guys. If you don't know what the fuck you're saying, then don't just make shit up just to hear the sound of your voice or see the words typed, because there are people that are in this group that like really need help or really are taking this seriously. And, and some of you are just making shit up, because it just sounds good. And don't get me wrong, like I want you to participate in stuff like that, but if you don't know, then you don't know, and that's cool. But don't say things that don't make sense. So the question that it is again right here is this, okay? The question is, how many calls should a BDC make per day if you received 800 to 1,000 leads per month? Okay, so I'm gonna break down the formula for you. First and foremost, there's a direct algorithm to this thing, and we've tracked, I don't know, maybe 6 to 10 million outbound calls a year. I've been in business for almost 16 years, so we're talking about over 100+ million, phone calls. I mean, that's a lot of phone calls, okay, from all over the country. And the reality is this, is that there's only, right now in 2019, I'd say probably about like a 9 to 11% connection ratio. And so if you only make 100 outbound calls, statistically, you will only get approximately 9 to 11 people to have a conversation with you in an 8-hour day, okay? And that is specifically if you're not doing, product presentation, demonstration, drive, delivery, like Lauren's BDC. So if you were a BDC rep, you're not stopping to move the inventory, shovel snow, make sure the front line is straight. If you're just doing phone calls, think about that. In an 8-hour freaking day, if you make 100 phone calls, you're only talking to 9, 10, 11 people. Where the hell are you going? So I'm gonna tell you this, one rep minimum, not maximum, in our program is 120 outbound calls. I see people saying 80. 80, are you kidding me? That's like a third less than this. Do the math. If you only make 80 outbound calls, and I'm not talking about, and let me be specific, because here's the other problem. A lot of people confuse BDC with internet sales or phone sales. I'm talking about internet sales right now. She said BDC, but she didn't clarify if it was truly unsold showroom traffic, data mining, equity mining, etc. I'm gonna be clear. I'm talking about for internet sales leads, like internet purchase requests and phone ups. Very, very simple. Your department should be making 120 outbound phone calls minimum, because I know that you will be only speaking to, on average, 9 to 11% of those people. Sometimes in the Northeast, like North Jersey, it's crazy. It's like 8 or 9%. Can you imagine that? You make 120 calls and you only speak to like 9 people in a day. So the volume of calls is very, very important. And so it's like, oh, it's not about quality. Bullshit. It's not about the quality or quantity. It's the fact of just basic math. If you call X amount of people, they're not all answering the damn phones. And then it's not also how many times you call, it's at what time periods. In our system at Dealer Synergy, there's 2 time periods. Between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. is time zone 1, and then between 6 to 8 p.m. is time zone 2, which is the prime time to connect nationally, is between 6 and 8 p.m. So if you're in the BDC and you're only working 9 to 5, 9 to 6, you're screwed and your dealership is screwed, because during prime time, those leads are just sitting fermenting like prison hooch. Now, in addition to that, let's get into some facts. The way that we put this is, if you are brand new or you are underperforming, you should only be able to handle about 80 leads, okay? Now, with about 80 leads, you should be safe. that are fresh. I'm going to get into the residual flow factor in a second. The next thing is if you are average, it should be approximately 100 leads. If you are above average, 120. If you are freaking like nasty good at this shit, you've been doing it for a hot minute. I've been doing this only for 21 straight years, automotive internet sales, BDC, and CRM. I'd say 150 to 170 max. Now, because there's something called the residual flow factor, this is what nobody focuses on. Lauren, if you've got 1,000 fresh leads, and I said 800 to 1,000, I'm using a round number, the reality is this. Let's just say from July 1st to the end of July, you have 1,000 leads. Let's just say by the grace of God, you even think you hit 10%, like not you, but your dealership hits 10%. So that's 100 cars. That means that 900 leads you did not close just from July. So my math is that you're gonna start August 1st with 450 carryover leads. But guess what? Franchise dealers, as per JD Power and ADEA, have up to a 90-day buy-in cycle. So the reality is it's not just 450, because that's just 450 from July that's gonna start into August. What about June? What about May? Hell, maybe even April. So my estimation is that you're gonna be starting, if you've got probably about 1,000 fresh leads, you're gonna be starting at least with 800 leads August 1st. So in the month of August, if you have 800 leads, now remember, let's say you did not get one fresh lead in the month of August. How many cars should you sell out of those 800 carryover leads that are 90 days or less active, right? In my opinion, 5% of that 800 would be what? Would be 40 cars, right? 10% of that 800 would be 80 cars. That's not with one freaking fresh lead the following month, not one. Now the reality is if you've got 1,000, right? Okay, 10% of the 1,000 is 100, plus you've got, again, 5% of the carryover is 40, 10% of the carryover is 80. So you should be anywhere, in my opinion, from 140 to 180 real units that are there because of the residual flow factor. So when I do this shit, like I do this for real, like I don't just answer like the questions that were there, like people are just saying 8 to 100 phone calls or whatever, it's crazy. So let me just show you something. I'm gonna show you one of my dealers and how we track this stuff. I removed the dealer's name just to keep the respect for them. So check this out right here, guys, okay? So this is one of my stores, and this is our scorecard, okay? So we track this, look at this. Okay, they only had 500 fresh leads that month, but look, they started with 892. They started with 892 carryover leads, but they got 562 fresh leads. They had 5 BDC reps, and look at how many outbound phone calls they made. They made 9,564 to connect with 799 connections. That is an 8.35 connection ratio. They made 247 appointments. That is strong as hell. That is from connection to appointment at almost a 31% appointment made ratio. They had 176 bodies show up. That is a 71% appointment show ratio, and they delivered 101 cars. That says 57.39%. Now the yellow represents the BDC, okay? However, then what's the blue? Okay, wait a minute, how does it say 101? Because the blue are the salespeople. Okay, so if you look at this, this is what I call my point guards. So in addition to the BDC, they have all these other salespeople that were responsible. The sales team, separate from the BDC, were responsible for making an extra 2,387 outbound phone calls. Those could be callbacks, appointment confirmations, missed calls, follow-up, whatever. The salespeople working in hybrid with the BDC, again, made an additional 2,387 outbound calls. They made 284 additional connections. They made 53 additional appointments. They had 30 additional appointments show, and they had, you ready for this? 17 net units additionally sold. So let's go back to here again. That's what the difference of the blue is from the, hold on, I think I had February, sorry guys. That's what the difference is. Yeah, there we go. That's the difference between the yellow and the blue. So let me explain. The yellow is what the BDC reps are doing. The blue is the yellow, is the BDC reps and the salespeople working as a hybrid in there. So in addition to those BDC reps, they had multiple salespeople working in this. You got to realize the internet and phones are the new showroom. And this is another thing. Most dealerships are set up and staffed for how it used to sell cars 5-10 years ago. I mean, think about it. The average dealership has freaking 10 salespeople, 2 sales managers, GM, GSM to sell jack shit. When we all know the majority comes from internet and phones, but yet the internet department, the BDC, has scarce amount of BDC reps compared to salespeople. They damn sure don't have nearly the fraction of managers and high-level management talent that touch the BDC or what have you. But then we pencil whip the shit out of the BDC and wonder, why aren't we selling cars? Because you're upside down. Because you're putting all your human resources and all that shit where like nobody's at, the showroom, okay? But yet where you've got like this woman's got 1,000 fresh leads, I'm estimating 800 carryover. So within any given month, she has anywhere from 17 to 1,900 real opportunities a month. Do you understand me? That is a lot, okay? And to not, have the right amount of focus on there is crazy. Now, let's just see how many, deals that they should have sold. Well, let's go through this. This store right here, they should have sold a minimum of been like 60 cars here and then 10% there. Let's just say 900. So that's like about 150. They're doing 123. So let's put this in perspective, okay? How does a store that has half of the fresh leads that Lauren asked for, how are they delivering 123 units? I mean, that's a lot of cars for only 562 fresh leads, because as you see here, it's not just the fresh leads, okay? It is the fresh leads plus the carryover. Let me give you some basic math, people. If you have 1,000 leads and you sell 100 cars, that's not 10%. Let me dumb it down. If you've got 500 leads and you sell 50 cars, that also is not 10%. Sean, what are you talking about? Because think about it. That means that in the month of July, I had 500 fresh leads. If I sold 50 cars, me and you both know damn well that there's no way in hell that all 50 cars began and ended in that month. You know what I'm saying? So again, for you to have a real true closing ratio, you need to start in the beginning of the month, like August 1st. How many active leads do you have that are 90 days or less when you started this month, August 1st? If that's 5, 6, 800, 1,000, whatever it is, benchmark it. And then you add your fresh leads, your total fresh leads, not you take out the deads, the bogus, the duplicates, no, the raw leads. That's why it's only a 10% closing ratio, because of dead, bogus, et cetera, et cetera. You combine those two, and then that's how you dictate your ratio. So now let's go into this. How many leads she says she has is about 1,000 fresh. In my opinion, she should have at least 8 to 12 BDC reps that are working in there. How do I figure that? That's a lot, Sean. Well, Jesus, I mean, she's got 1,000 fresh leads. When you add in at least 800 carryover, there's 1,800 leads. So how is a BDC less than 10 to 12 people going to handle 1,800 attempts when JD Power says that it takes a minimum of 7 to 9 attempts before you even make the first contact? Holy shit. So take 9 times 1,800 for the first of all. Okay, so if you want to turn on and follow up with those people, those 1,800 leads in 1 month, I mean, just do the math. It compounds. Then what about text messages? What about video emails? What about video text messages? What about Apple FaceTimes? What about Skypes? What about social media DMs? I mean, the communications are crazy, but dealers wonder why they don't crush it, because they don't have the proper resources. They don't have the right amount of people. They don't have the right amount of staff. They don't have the right amount of activities. At the end of the day, the more people you call, the more text messages, the more emails, the more videos, the more social media DMs, the more connections you're gonna have. The more connections or conversations you have with somebody, the more times you're able to present your value package proposition, why buy from me message. And you're able to articulate what is different and better about what you do compared to anybody else. Then from there, the more people you're able to pitch, the more people that you could get to, commit to an appointment. The more people that you confirm appointments with, the more people will show up. More people show up, more people buy cars. Hakuna Matata. Shout out to Lion King. It's the circle of life. Again, more attempts equal more connections. More connections equal more appointments. More appointments equal more shows. More shows equal more sales. It is a numbers game. You've got to put the right amount of resources into this. I'm going to ask any one of you out there that are watching this live, or are going to watch the replays over the next couple weeks, look at your showroom. How many salespeople do you have on the showroom? How many sales managers, GSMs, GMs, and F&I do you have on the showroom? How much money in freaking talent and experience in human resources do you have on the showroom? Now ask yourself, how many fucking fresh ups did you get last month, last quarter, last year? How many fresh walk-in ups did you get? Probably not that many. You know, most dealerships average, like if you have a 100-car store, right? Well, again, they probably are not getting more than 250 to 300 fresh ups in the dealership, or not just fresh ups, just appointments and fresh ups, period. But then if you look at how many internet leads that you have, how many email leads do you have, how many phone ups do you have, how many chats, how many social media DMs, how much of these social signals do you have, and then who's manning them? Usually the internet director has never been a sales manager, they never desk deals before, they damn sure never ran a sales team before, and it's usually that one person that has like the least amount of skills on the management team for sales and sales management I'm talking about. They possess probably a ton of other skills that the GM and GSM doesn't have. So I'm a BDC director, so I'm not shooting anybody down. I'm just trying to say to you is that you have more people and more raw talent and more skill on the floor where nobody's at, but yet you have like the most scarce, overworked, underappreciated, people on your front lines where everybody's at, which is absolutely fucking insane. How do you spend, tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on driving traffic, and the people that you have there are frontline BDC reps that have basic primitive product knowledge, if any. They don't have really any understanding of the whole rules of engagement, the road to the sale, the four squares, all this stuff, all these things. They don't have any backup. When they have to get things, answered, they get shitted on by the management and the sales staff. Like, why you bother me? Brr! You know what I mean? Like, I'll get to it when I get to it. I'm like, Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? Like, you guys got the game twisted. You need to turn around and really appreciate, like, Lauren, again, if you had 1,000 leads, let's just do some basic math. In my opinion, I would say that you need to probably have about 8 to 10, reps. Let's just say even if it was 10 reps minimum, okay? And if 10 reps minimum are doing, 120 calls, that's 1,200 calls a day, okay? Now, times 22 employee working days. That's straight up what I would say, guys. So just think about that for a second. Again, if you've got 1,000 fresh leads and you got 800 carryover, I mean, yeah, you're looking at really a lot. You're looking at over 20,000 outbound calls, 100%. 20,000 outbound calls should absolutely be the bare benchmark minimum. Why? Because, let's go through the numbers. On an email, there's only a 2 to 4% read open rate. On an outbound phone call, there's only a 9 to 11 connection ratio. That's why. So again, I hope that you all got value in this. Please feel free to ask me some questions. Look, I'm done. I had a long day today between Vin Solutions and CRM and BombBomb. Tomorrow, I'm actually on site at Country Hill Motors. I'm going to be on the cover of Dealer Magazine next month. We took a 2 rooftop dealer group from, doing very, very good to freaking great. And I'm honored they asked me to be on the cover with the dealer principal because of the profound success at the independent dealer group, Country Hill. For you guys, the whole Shame on You Car Gurus, he's the ground zero, the dealer principal that started the whole, viral Shame on You hashtag Car Gurus. So I'm going to be on site at Country Hill, getting my Tom Cruise on my photo shoot. So mad love to you guys. I hope that you got, some good information here. Ask me any questions. I'm here to serve. Bye.